Hello everybody, I'm Kisha Yala, your host. This episode we will talk to Rabiella, Lequan, and we will also talk to Miriam. You see the guests from episode 1 over here, also season 2. Tune back after this episode. What to know before marriage from Miriam, who's engaged, and Lequan and Rabiella, who are married.
I think it's good to know your self-worth. But I still don't think you need to be perfect before marriage, because I think you yourself as an individual, you're gonna develop also in the years to come after marriage, and so is your significant other. But I think you really need to know your own worth and know what your foundation is. I think that's a very short summary.
Yeah, good. I think the same thing.
Yeah, I think the same thing too. I think that's very important to know yourself, who you are, especially identity of who you are, and then because you're going to be a wife all of a sudden, or you're going to be a husband all of a sudden. First know who you are, your struggles and what you're going through. And one important thing is also to love yourself. I think that's very important to know that you are loved, because you're going to love somebody else. And if you don't love yourself yet, it's maybe hard for the person to love you. And that's a bit of experience I can tell you, because it was really hard for me to love myself. And in the beginning I always told him, because he told me that he loved me, and I was like, I never knew that somebody could love me so much. And it was a kind of struggle in the beginning to love really myself. So I think it's important to search how to love yourself as well, so that you can love the other as well. So,
So that's really a thing, that you have to have what you give, otherwise you can give. Yeah, wow.
Yes. Already starting the outro dance.
That's true. Yeah, no, that's really good. And I don't know what kind of viewers who watch this, but some people also have a list. I know for myself that I had a list. Now, I put the list away because I have my own reasons for that. But what do you guys think about the list?
Throw it away. Throw it away.
Why would you guys throw it away? I see Lequan. No.
Especially if it has to do with physical features, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Now, there's certain fundamental things that your husband to be or wife to be should have, that you can identify with, right? But tall, white hair, yellow hair, blue eyes, is oftentimes, I've seen it, God gives us the exact opposite of that, what we have described on that piece of paper. I mean, Rabiella is beautiful, but she wasn't my type. And under some vocal, I wasn't her type. But she was the one I needed in my life. And that's where God comes in. He often gives us what we need instead of what we want. And if we get what we want, He just loves you a bit extra. I'm just joking. But the list, I think even, of course, this, like I said, and there's certain fundamental things. Okay, he has to have a vision, has to have a plan for the future. He shouldn't be 10,000s of euros in debt. You don't want that, right? But especially when it comes to physical features, forget about it.
But I still think, I mean, of course I agree with you on the physical features, and God gives you what you need, of course. But I still think it's good to also think what you need or what you want or search for in a relationship, to think about it beforehand. So you don't, because that's a bit of a thing. I mean, if you don't really think about it beforehand and you end up with somebody, you tend to look through all their flaws, and you're just like, oh, but I mean, that's fine, and you miss all the red flags. But if you have like made a list, so to say, beforehand, then you
Right.
can still think like, oh hey, but this is not right and this is also not right, and
Yeah.
he doesn't do this and this,
Mhm.
and then you can have more of a reality check to
yeah,
see
yeah.
is this actually the right person for
Well, I
me.
agree
Yeah.
definitely. Like
Yeah.
I said, and certain fundamental things should
Yeah.
be there. That I don't discuss upon. Definitely, I agree
Yeah.
with that. Really, when it comes down to physical features,
Yeah.
you know, women always have this thing. He has to be tall. He has to be muscular. He has to have this type of hair, drive this car, have this house, and oftentimes that's not realistic.
Yeah.
You know, but it's interesting that you said that this list of things that we shouldn't be blinded by their flaws. I know love can blind you, but I also believe in this. If you know for yourself that this is the person that God has given you to become your husband and to become your wife, you'll see the flaws, but you won't reject that person based on their flaws.
Yeah.
You will work on those flaws together, you know. And the thing is, it's important to know as well, if that person neglects and doesn't want to work on the flaws, then you can say, okay, you know, no, this cannot happen. But if there's a willingness to work on those flaws, if there's a heart that wants to change, then I would definitely advise, go for it. Even though there's flaws, there's a willingness to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also always discuss it with people surrounding you, because they also see how you work together as a couple, or
Yeah.
how they see the other person.
Yeah.
So I think that's also
It's a good point. It's a good point, but you need to know who you're discussing
Yeah.
it with.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We've had
True.
experiences in our relationship. Not everybody can handle your
No.
business. Not everybody can handle it. So my advice is always to go to somebody who's been married,
Yes.
somebody who has experience, and somebody who is in Dutch they say onpartijdig. So doesn't
So
choose
Switzerland,
sides.
uh,
Yeah.
Yes.
And they can give you a honest and transparent review
Yeah.
of that person
Yeah.
and your relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't go to your best friend. Your best friend might be jealous. Yeah, like, I want that man. You understand? But really go to somebody that you can trust their knowledge,
Yeah.
trust
Yeah.
their wisdom to guide you. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Would that then be your pastor or your parents, or is the parents not Switzerland? Who would that be then?
I think it depends on what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends on what's happening.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in some situations for us it was our pastor,
Mm-hmm.
but in other situations it was our parents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what my wife said, it really depends on what's
Yeah.
going on.
Okay.
Yeah, but those were our main go-to people. We always had we always had set persons. Our parents and the pastor. That was it. We didn't go to anybody outside of that. Yeah.
Okay. So you go to the past. What are the different topics of advice you go to for these people? What makes it that you go to your parents and not to the pastor, or that you go to the pastor and not to your parents?
Yeah. So we would go to our pastor whenever we had problems with each other, because we can trust that the pastor will give a neutral advice on it. I couldn't go to our parents. You understand the part? You get it? So definitely. And we would go to the parents for relational advice.
Yeah.
So how do you guys do this? Because her parents has been married for 25 plus years. So they have a whole wealth of experience. So we would go to them, talk about life, building, beginning, and how do you guys build, how do you guys start off, how do you sustain a relationship for 25 years, and that's the sort of things we would talk to her parents about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this is some good advice. Maybe you should make a part 2 sometime. Yeah, thank you guys for sharing your experiences and
Yeah.
advice on this topic. And thank you guys for watching again.
I've got a question
Yeah.
for her.
Oh yeah.
What made you say yes to the
Mr.
Yeah.
Say yes. Well, actually, to come back to the list, I
Yeah.
made one when I was like 15 or something.
Yeah.
And when I found it again, I looked at it and it was like exactly,
Really?
yeah,
Oh wow.
exactly the guy.
So, I told you God loves you. God loves you a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, before I actually got together with him, I really had, I talked to a lot of guys just for a few days, and then I noticed, okay, this is not what I want in life.
Yeah.
And in that way, I made a list for myself
Yeah.
of things I didn't want in a
Yeah.
relationship. And when I met him, there was like this immediate click, and
Okay.
it just fitted and worked very well together. And he had all the things that he didn't have all the things that I didn't want.
Okay.
Well,
I get
he
you.
was like perfect.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think just from the start off on, it was such a good match, and we grew together so well, and I really can see that he loves me and the things he does and how he
Yeah.
treats me, and all the qualities I want in a husband he has.
Okay.
So it's really beautiful to see that happening.
Okay. Great.
And yeah, I really can see a future with him.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's really amazing. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Awesome.